Well, today is Wednesday, July 8th, the year of our Lord 2026, and boy, is there a lot going on in the world of true crime. Today, we are going to be talking about the case of the Ohio 16 for sure. There is an update there that I want to bring to you. We also have more in terms of other stuff that's happening as far as headlines in true crime. We've got an update in the Nancy Guthrie case, in the preliminary hearing of Tyler Robinson, who is accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk. We've got an update in the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, Alex Murdaugh's second prosecution. And we've got some good news. And of course, we're going to start today, though, with a question of the day. Yesterday's question of the day went something like, what is something that immediately makes your day better? And boy, has it been great going through and reading the comments. It was awesome to do it live, but I went back and I read the comments. And here's a little secret I don't like to tell anybody. I hardly ever read the comments because sometimes there are just lots of trolls, right? But I was reading comments this morning and I was giggling at all of the great things that you guys were sharing with me, things that make your day. Today's question isn't nearly as snazzy, but I think it's a good question nonetheless. And the question is, what's something that immediately makes your day go sideways? What is something that immediately makes your day go sideways? Maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way. I don't know that I have a good answer for this question, but I would love to hear your answers. What is something that happens in your day that makes you just go sideways? And speaking of going sideways, this case of the 16 children that were found while authorities were serving a warrant for indecent exposure is breathtakingly and hauntingly tragic. There was a press conference earlier today by the district attorney that there were a few little bits of information that came out of that. Shockingly, we've got one of our suspects out on his own recognizance. I think there's probably a pretty good reason for it, but we're going to get into that. Plus all of the headlines. We've got 3 questions. We've got good news. We got a lot going on. Hope you'll stick with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another terrific, if I might say, true crime conversation with me. My name is Gavin Fish. If you are new here, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you're old here, join the club. I'm pretty old myself. I'm glad you're here as well. Please, 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 as you're answering the question of the day, what makes your day go sideways? Also, tell me where you're tuning in from. I absolutely love that. Please put GF in your comment. That helps me to be able to see it on my side. It highlights it on my side. Hey, today is Wednesday, so just a quick little announcement, announcy poo. We are doing our second ever after show for members and patrons. We're doing it a little bit different this time. So if you are a member of my channel, you're a fanatic, you've been around forever, like Mooney or Autumn, or if you're brand new, I put a post that has a link to the live stream. Okay, so just go to my channel and go to my posts. There's a link to the live stream. We're doing a little bit different this time so that my patrons, it's an unlisted link. So I want my patrons to be able to see the live stream as well and be on the same live stream. Last time we streamed it to two different places, and on Patreon they're like, wouldn't it be great if we were all together? So that's what we're doing this time. Okay, so definitely go to that post, and hopefully we're going to have a good hang. Now here's the thing. I just want the after show to be a good hang. So I have brought out the old photo album Marooney that my mother made. I mean, look at the craftsmanship. It's covered in dust. I'm so sorry, Mom. But she made this photo album, and I think this goes all the way through about 1993. We're going to be showing some old photos and talking about yours truly growing up. Now, if you want just a quick sneak peek, it's going to be quick. Ready? And I've blurred out faces to protect the innocent. Here we go. Ready? Boom. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And that's all you get. That's all you get. You're going to have to watch the members only stream and patrons stream if you want to support me by becoming a member. That does mean the world to me. Also, guys, whenever we talk about the Ohio 16, YouTube demonetizes the video. So I have set a goal again today. Your direct support really means the world to me. You can support me on Patreon. You can go to my website and see all the different ways that you can support me just by going to gavinfish.com. There's lots of different ways, and I appreciate everything from liking and subscribing and sharing all the way through monetary support through memberships and Patreon and super chats and super stickers. All of those things just mean the world to me. Thank you very much for taking care of me. Okay, let me look at my agenda here. What we're gonna start out with is right here. This coming to us from, what is the name of the station? I can't see it because my old eyes. WBNS in Ohio. There was a press conference held today at about, I think it was about 10 a.m. Eastern time in my time zone. So this is like 8 hours ago, by the prosecuting, the district attorney, the prosecutor's office, talking about a bond for this guy, a guy they call Gary Siders Sr., though his real name is Gary Siders Jr. He is the elder Gary Siders, and this press conference is a little less than 10 minutes long. Now, I tried my best to bump up the audio and de-echoify the audio just a little bit so that we can hear the questions in the background too. I put it through AI and it just didn't do a very good job. So I de-echoed it a little bit. I bumped up the audio, so headphone and earbud alert when I start this. Maybe start with your headphones away from your ears a little bit or your volume down a little bit. I normalized it up. I hard limited it to 6 dB down, so it should not blow you away, but I did bump up that audio. I want you to be able to hear the questions because some of these questions are extremely important, especially in the way that he answers them. Now, a little preview of this. I want you to maybe focus a little bit on the question that we had yesterday. Yesterday's question in our video was, is Elizabeth Siders the alleged, purported, let's say, the purported mother of these 16 children? I think that DNA needs to be done, but the purported mother of these 16 children, was she a victim or a villain? I think that the world is a complex world and we're all a little bit of both. I think that she probably was victimized, but also I agree with my buddy Jen Coffendaffer that you got to take responsibility for your actions as well. But I want you to think about those questions that we've had over the last couple of videos, one of which being, is this woman a victim or a villain? What do you think of the other co-defendants? Gary Siders Jr., the grandfather, Christina Siders, the grandmother, Gary Siders the second, and of course, Elizabeth Siders when we get into this video. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and begin. It's 9 minutes and 37 seconds long. And what am I doing? Wait a minute, what am I doing? You're like, Gavin, Javi, you got to keep me honest. You got to keep me honest, man. Javi wasn't on me. Let's just check in to see what you guys are saying. You answered the question, right? Did you answer the question? Miss Chivos Dragon is joining us from Central Texas. Thank you for being here. Miss Chivos Dragon, the North Georgia mountains are represented in the house. Tina May says anything that makes her day go sideways is anything throwing a wrench in plans or a schedule. I like plans. You know what? Here's the thing that makes my day go sideways. I hate being late. I would rather be 3 hours early to something and sit in my car for 3 hours than be a minute late to something. And if something happens that jeopardizes me being on time, that sends my day. It just sends it sideways. Let's see. First to die, DYE says, when my Adderall just isn't working, because some days there just isn't enough Adderall. Let's see. Yeah, Hyper Kimberly, what a horrifying nightmare, those poor neglected children. Indeed. Lynn Taylor checking in from New Hampshire. Dropkick checking in from Fort Worth. Plainfield, Illinois is in the house. Kay Bling saying, some of us wish to be a member, but finances don't permit it. I totally get it. The vast majority of things that I do here on the channel are for everybody, but I do set aside some things just for members and for patrons. It's okay. If you're feeling a little FOMO, don't worry about it. Everything is going to be okay. Indie Girl says, hey, y'all, please thank Wanda for the little tune yesterday. It's good to be here with you. Wanda, well done working there in the audio booth. You're doing great. Checking in from Phoenix. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, Lady Saga, creepy. This guy just creeps me out. Indeed. Man, my system gets caught up sometimes. South Lake Tahoe's in the house. Thank you very much, Sharky. And Black Widower gifting a membership. Thank you for doing that, Black Widower. Indie Girl is the receiver of that. I don't get any say in who receives these memberships. But thank you for doing that. Black Widower is with me. I'd rather be agonizingly early too. Let's see. Affordzable says, all pretty scary. Elizabeth looks like she's in another world. Such a sad and horrible situation. Praying for those 16 sweet children. Heard most are in foster homes now, which I'm sure is way, way better. Thank you guys for checking in. Hold on. Miss Chivos Dragon. Here's one. Question of the day. My day goes sideways when I assume people will do things my way without explicit instructions. I keep having to circle back to provide guidance. Sometimes you just got to let go and let people do things their way. Maybe that would keep you from spinning out a little bit. But I don't know. What do I know? I know nothing. Okay. Let's bring it on into over here to the video and let us listen to our district attorney here. Here we go.
A couple of points that needed to be addressed. First, the Siders cases, they are Vinton County cases. We have appreciated the support of the state and the Ohio Attorney General, but they continue to be Vinton County cases, and all decisions.
I should say, by the way, this guy's name is William Archer, Bill Archer, he has been referred to. He is the Vinton County prosecuting attorney. So yeah, he's the chief prosecutor in Vinton County. Here we go.
Will be made by my office.
The
Attorney General did offer assistance and has agreed to provide an assistant AG. Her name is Kara Keating, and yesterday motion was filed to have her appointed special prosecutor to assist me in the prosecution. Also, Annika Collins, who is a Highland County prosecuting attorney, I also filed a motion to have her appointed as a special prosecutor, as she was an old colleague of mine when I worked in Highland County. Both of these women are outstanding prosecutors with extensive experience in child cases, and they will do nothing but help our team progress through these cases. The other thing finally on that point is, for the taxpayers, these special prosecutors come at no cost to Vinton County. They've either volunteered or they're being paid by their respective offices. Point number two. I think most of you are aware now that Gary Siders Sr., the older Gary Siders, was provided with a bond today, an OR bond. Let me explain the circumstances around that.
An OR bond. OR stands for own recognizance. So he was given a bond. He did not have to pay any amount. He is released on his own recognizance. Now he's going to explain why here. I interrupted him rudely, if I might be so bold. Rude to interrupt him, but it's okay. It's going to be fine. Javi, you just relax in there, okay? But yeah, this is an own recognizance bond. He is going to explain why. Here we go.
First, let me stress, the community is not at risk because of this bond. Yesterday, as you all know, the cases were scheduled for preliminary hearing. During the transport, Mr. Siders fell and had a medical issue that required treatment and assessment. O'Bleness Hospital.
He looks like somebody who is frail, does he not? He looks like somebody who may fall. There have been reports that he has suffered a stroke in the past. He just looks like he could fall apart at any minute.
Where he was taken, and it was determined at that point upon some tests that O'Bleness did that Mr. Siders Sr. has a serious medical condition that requires specialized care in a hospital outside of this area. Practically, and I don't know if you folks know this or not, but when defendants are housed in county jails, it is the county's responsibility to pay for the medical care. Prisons are for defendants who have been convicted. Then the state pays for it. But he's still an innocent man that has not been convicted yet. So the county was going to be on the hook for his medical care. And again, based on the information that we were provided, his medical care could potentially bankrupt Vinton County.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. His medical care could potentially bankrupt Vinton County? Is this the poorest county in the state of Ohio? His medical care could potentially bankrupt Vinton County? So, I don't know. Okay, listen. You can make a decision as a county to say to yourselves, okay, this defendant is old, he's frail, he is not a danger to anyone, he's got this medical condition, he took a fall, sure, we're going to let him handle his own. He probably is on Medicare, Medicaid, or something like that, right? Be handled that way. But if you kept him in your jail, it would bankrupt the county. I feel like that's probably going a little far. That might be reaching into the ranges of hyperbole, let's say. Maybe you're overstating your case a little bit. But okay, I mean, your reasoning seems fine to me, I guess.
We were not going to put that burden also on our local taxpayers, and so it was agreed that we would do a recognizance bond so he could get the medical treatment that the doctors say he needs, and won't cost the county that money. If he's released from the hospital, he will then be equipped with a GPS monitor.
Okay.
Also, if you haven't already...
Where would he be released to? If he's released from the hospital, where does he go? They're certainly not letting anybody back in that house, are they? That house is gross. That house is like, nobody believed that anybody was living in that house. It's disgusting. It's filled with human waste and, all of the wonderful side effects of having infestations of rodents and cockroaches and stuff like that, not to mention all the hoarding and everything, not to mention his wife and his supposed caregivers, if you could say he was being given any care, are in jail. Where would he be released to? I mean, Is there anybody? This is just a question that I have. Hopefully they have an answer to it, but certainly they wouldn't let him go back on his own to that house, right?
Just on the docket, his defense attorney did file competency motions, as I'm sure you have noticed from the proceedings in which he's been present. There's certainly been some issues about his ability to go forward on the prosecution, and so his defense attorney decided to file those motions to have him assessed.
Okay, let me pause there for a second. This is something that is new. This is information that is new. The state of Ohio, bless their hearts, it's a little bit difficult to get court records. I've put in some requests. It's not automatic like in a lot of places like Florida, for example, but there's an issue of competency for the elder Mr. Siders. Mr. Siders Jr., who's the elder Mr. Siders. Why do I keep harping on that? Yeah, I'm like the only one who cares. It is because nomenclature and organization is very important to me. I'm a database administrator and have been since the late 90s. Indexing and and nomenclature is an organization are important to me. I should probably let it go. The elder Mr. Siders has some competency issues. They have put forth motions to have him assessed. I would imagine that when they do have him assessed, they will find that he is not competent to stand trial. That's my guess. That's just, I'm completely just guessing on this one. But you look at the guy and you're like, oh man, he has been rode hard and put away wet. That is the deal there. He is lived a hard. Here's the other thing about Mr. Siders. He's only 73 years old. Am I remembering that correctly? I think he is 73 and Christina is 67. Oh my goodness, they look like they're 173 and 167. These are people that have lived hard lives, man. Okay, you're saying shut up, Gavin, get on with it.
That is all that I have at this point. I'm willing to answer briefly questions related to that. I will stress with you, our office has specifically not addressed the factual nature of this case because it is still under investigation. There's a lot of information still out there, and in fairness to the defendants, particularly to the victims and to the community, we're not releasing information until it's appropriate to do so. Again, having said that, I'll address whatever questions there might be. Yes, ma'am.
Slater Senior's attorney had criticized comments made by your office and state officials saying you were trying to try the case in the court of public opinion. How would you respond to those comments from his attorney?
Mr. Baum filed a second response and indicated the comments were not made by me. And I made that clear. If you go back and review the comments that I made, I simply laid out what happened in court and that it wasn't human trafficking because that was a major issue to the community, and I wanted to make sure they knew this was not human trafficking.
That's a very interesting question. The question is, the defense attorney is saying that you have been trying to try this case in the court of public opinion. How do you respond to that? And he goes, well, he also filed a second motion saying that it wasn't me. So basically what he's doing is he's pointing over to, what's his name, Mr. Wilson, the state attorney general, who is a politician, right? Well, the DA is a politician too, but the state attorney general, the state attorney general in any state, especially for those of you who are outside of these beautiful United States, or maybe those who are not particularly politically active within these beautiful United States. And I keep apolitical on this, but I am so skeptical of politicians of whatever bent, whatever particular stripe they are politicians, okay? The office of Attorney General in a state is simply a platform from which you may leap to your next job, which is probably governor. They are not a law enforcement officer of the state. They never are. They are. That's like saying the director of the FBI is is an investigator. They're not. They are a politician, right? It doesn't matter who is in there and what their political persuasion is. That's the way it is. So, yeah, he's like, I didn't say anything other than that the facts of the case and that this is not a human trafficking issue, which it is not, because I wanted the community to know that that the community is safe. And I thought that was a terrific answer to this. Anybody who is trying to try it in the court of public opinion, I think, would be the Attorney General of the state of Ohio, and people like me, right? People like me who we have very limited facts, but the case is interesting. We're going to talk about it.
Expensive care does your senior need? What kind of test, what kind of care is he going to?
The question is, what is the expense that the elder Mr. Siders, how much is this going to be?
You know that that's a HIPAA issue, and that's not anything that I can address.
Elizabeth's attorney has expressed concerns that she could be a victim in this case. Is that something your office is looking into?
Okay, we're going to pause this. Elizabeth, I want to go back just a few moments on that. Let me just go back a few moments and let's listen to this question.
You know that that's a HIPAA issue, and that's not anything that I can address.
Elizabeth's attorney has expressed concerns that she could be a victim in this case. Is that something your office is looking into?
Elizabeth's attorney has expressed some opinion that she might be a victim in this case. Is that something that your office is looking into? That is our question. I think I got that right. I listened to it twice. This is the question that we asked yesterday. This is the whole conversation I had with Jen Coffendaffer, the former FBI agent, the retired FBI agent of 25 years, 28 years in federal law enforcement. And Jen's answer was, yeah, she might be, but also she has to take responsibility, right? All right. What is the answer from Mr. Archer, the prosecuting attorney?
According to her attorney, she's not a victim. So,
What? What now? According to her attorney, she is not a victim. Let me just back that up. According to her attorney,
she's not a victim.
What? So, according to her attorney,
she's not a victim. So we'll let him decide how he wants to address his representation of her.
I find that just a fascinating answer. So I don't know if it's open to interpretation, because the journalist is saying, the attorney is saying that she is a victim, and he's going, well, according to the attorney, she is not a victim. We will just let him decide what he's going to do. And I mean that's what a prosecutor should do, right? It's just, okay, I will wait until they make a motion stating that there is some level of victimhood here. We'll let that attorney decide how they're going to mount the defense. But so far, I ain't seen nothing that claims that Elizabeth Siders is a victim in all this. Now, having said that, guys, I think she probably is at some level, right? I think she probably is. I just look at her here and go, ooh, man. She doesn't look like she's had a bath forever. I think, and she was 15 years old and 7 months pregnant when she was taken across the border and married to this guy who was 18 at the time. I don't know how you don't think that she is a victim in this, but that does not excuse the CA of 16 babies. It doesn't excuse any of that. I just think that we kind of got to call a spade here, right? All right.
I'm sorry, ma'am. No.
Are there any questions about the mental capacity of the other suspects?
I couldn't make out that first question. Let me just go back a little bit, see if I can see. I'll go a little bit faster. Let's see. Go back to 505 or so, maybe a little more. What is the question?
Because
Are
I'm
you able to speak with or interview the children?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Are you able to speak with or interview the children?
No.
Are there any questions
I'm not sure what that question was.
about the mental capacity of the other suspects?
Question is, are there any questions about the mental capacity of the other suspects? That is Christina, Gary Siders II, or the younger, and Elizabeth Siders. Is there any question about their mental capacity? Because the elder Mr. Siders, there is competency issues. There are competency issues that have been raised. What's his answer?
Capacity?
Yeah.
Again, that's up to their defense attorneys to whether they want to go down that road or not. So that's a better question for them.
Social media has been a big part of this case. There's been a lot of attention online. Can you speak to how that impacts your office and how this is going?
I couldn't really hear the question there.
If you've seen some of the stuff on the media, social media, there were pictures that the kids were in cages, that they were taped shut, their mouths, whatever. The problem with social media is you don't have to be telling the truth. You don't have to be saying things that's accurate. I don't understand why people put stuff like this on. It's not truthful. It's not accurate, but I can't stop it, and all I can do is shrug my shoulders and say, why are we doing this to this, particularly to these victims, because they're going to be tarnished by this for a long part of their lives.
Can you share
Let me just pause here. I really appreciate this answer, okay? Everything that I've done on this channel, this is the third video that we've done on this case, has been out of concern, not only one, for the justice for the children, but two, that these people be held accountable, right? What we strive to do on this channel, and you guys know this is why you guys come to this channel. We strive to learn things. We strive to learn and grow. We do not want to sensationalize. That is why. There has never been any AI-generated imagery of kids, with their mouths taped shut and inside cages and stuff like that, because that is only designed to sensationalize. It does not help, our education. It does not help us in learning how to recognize, because guys, we're not going to go around in our lives. This kind of stuff is happening all around us. I mean, I was on with Elizabeth Jones on Hillbilly Crime last night, and this, in our conversation, yeah, we came to the conclusion. We were both of the same opinion. This stuff is happening. I need to calm down. I'm yelling. I need to calm down. Hey, Wanda. Can you calm me down just a little bit? Thank you, Wanda. Do you haven't taken a deep breath a little bit more, Wanda? How do you switch? She has the arms of the Hydra. She can switch instruments so quickly. Okay, I'm calm again. I'm calm again. All right, guys. This kind of, and I got to be careful with my language because of YouTube, though it's going to be demonetized. But this kind of CA is happening all around us. It does not matter if you live in the poorest of areas or the richest of areas. It is happening around you. You and we want to be equipped in order to identify when we see indications that this kind of CA is happening around us. If we believe that we're going to see cages or kids with their wrists bound and tape over their mouths as an indication that this is happening, and that stuff does happen. But we're not going to see that stuff. That's going to be hidden from view most of the time. That's like Ruby Frankie crap, right? And the Turpin family crap. It is that is such outlier stuff. The kind of CA that is happening, like in this case, we wouldn't notice that. So we don't want to join in and get on the bandwagon of creating this imagery of these horrible abusive conditions that just don't typically exist. We need to be able to recognize, okay, like in the case of this one, there is a house that people are coming in and out of that looks like nobody's living there. what is going on in that house? Maybe call in a wellness check on this house, right? Like maybe be like, I think I'm seeing people going in and out of this place. It's got cat dishes out in front of it. It's got garbage out in front of it. It's got a smell when I pass it. I hope there are no children in there. Maybe we check on children. Maybe that then sends authorities out there going, okay, who owns this house? Who may be renting this house? Do they have children? Oh, they're not, you know, enrolled in school. I need to have a social worker on to really learn about this more. But you guys know what I mean? You feel me on this? We can't engage in that sensationalism. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help the victims. It doesn't help justice move forward. I guess that's the end of my soapbox. All right, let's keep going.
Are they on the children's condition? Are they all out of the hospital or are they all in homes?
I can't answer that specifically, but I will tell you that they are all safe and being cared for.
So the question was, are they still in the hospital? Are they in homes? And he said, I can't tell you the specifics, but they're all safe.
Maintenance that was beside may have had more than 16 children in her lifetime.
Again, I can't address that specific fact.
That question was, has Elizabeth Siders had more than 16 children in her lifetime? He says he can't address it.
Were these suspects receiving state benefits? If not all of them, who was?
Let me go back on that one. Let's hear that whole question.
I can't address that specific fact.
Were all four of these suspects receiving state benefits? If not all of them, who was?
The question is, were the 4 suspects here receiving state benefits? And if not all 4 of them, were any of the individuals receiving state benefits?
To my knowledge, only the two elderly, the 2 oldest, Mr. Grandma and Grandpa, were the only ones I'm aware of that were receiving benefits at that time, at the time of this incident.
So just Gary Siders, the elder, and Christina Siders were on some sort of government assistance.
Expecting more charges?
I don't know how much. That part, I don't know.
He doesn't know the
Are you
details.
still expecting more possible charges?
The investigation is ongoing.
That is a good question. Will there be more possible charges? He goes, look at his face. Look at his face, guys. He's like, the investigation is ongoing. This is me turning the corners of my mouth down so it doesn't look like I'm smiling, but we got more here. And of course they do. We will be hearing more charges for sure.
When do you expect a grand jury indictment? When they meet next?
The grand jury is a secret process. We do not disclose specifics on that. We hope to be having information for that within the next couple of weeks.
I will. We're going to actually read an article about this after this video. So if you have questions about the grand jury, I think we'll probably answer them.
Tell you is, this is not Franklin County, who has grand juries every day practically. Normally, Vinton County has a grand jury every other month, which is why the preliminary hearing issue came up, is because we don't have grand jury that often, and by right, the defendants have the ability to have that hearing.
Let me pause it here. We talked about grand juries versus preliminary hearings a little bit yesterday in our 3 questions segment, but here's what's happened. Rather than convening a grand jury, they elected to do a preliminary hearing. Both a grand jury proceeding and a preliminary hearing is designed to take a case from a lower court to a higher court, basically to move the case through the system. It is designed to determine whether or not probable cause exists in the case, enough probable cause exists to continue with the prosecution. In a grand jury, it's a secret process. You actually have jurors that listen to the prosecution, they present their case, and if the grand jury believes that there is enough probable cause, they hand down an indictment and it moves forward. With a preliminary hearing, it's done publicly. The defense is able to question witnesses, but it's all boils down to a judge, right? The prosecution makes their case. The defense they don't call witnesses, but they may question witnesses, and then they make arguments to the judge who decides whether or not there's enough probable cause. Either way, if probable cause exists or it is found to exist, it moves on. In this case, what has happened is the citers have waived their preliminary hearing. Now, typically, in jurisdictions where there is no grand jury, that would just, okay, you waived it, so you're saying there's probable cause, we'll move it on. But in this case, it looks like they're going to have to convene a grand jury. That's my understanding anyway. And tell me where I'm wrong in the comments.
Has any testing been done to assure that all 16 children belong to the same person?
This is the question of the month, right? Is there any question about whether or not the 16 children belong to the same person? Let me replay that.
Has any testing been done to assure that all 16 children belong to the same person?
Has testing been done to ensure that all 16 children belong to the same person? I think she means mother or father. And again, I'm half embarrassed that my mind didn't go there and half proud of myself that my mind didn't go there when I first read Jen Coffindaffer's quote in News Nation where she's like, there are two men there, and there are probably girls there that are old enough to be able to biologically carry a child. So is it possible, right? There should be DNA testing. It's only speculative, but there still should be DNA testing. So that was the question. Has testing been done to determine if more than one person is a parent of any of these children?
I can't address that.
Can you comment, Mr. Prosecutor, real quick, the relationship, or what you learned about the relationship of the deceased property owner and any member of the Siders family?
Other than being tenants, I don't know that there is any.
Were they owners or were they squatters?
That was asking a question about the deceased landowner. Was there a relationship there? He's like, they're tenants.
Wait a minute. Oh, sorry.
Were they tenants, were they paying rent, or were they squatters?
My understanding, they were paying rent, yes.
Did the children have birth certificates?
I don't know that we have all of their birth certificates. Let me answer that.
Were they all registered with the state?
Again, a little bit beyond what I can tell. I answered you what I know at this point.
Thank you.
Gary Sanders Jr. will be in court tomorrow for unrelated charges.
He will not.
So Mr. Siders, the younger, has other charges pending having to do with indecent exposure, right? Exposing himself on multiple occasions to people outside of his family. Apparently that's how the law reads. He had a hearing scheduled for tomorrow. He will not be doing that hearing.
His defense attorney is on vacation and has filed to continue. So if you were planning on coming, I'll save you your time. That has been continued. I don't know what the new date is. Check with county court, but it is not happening tomorrow.
Was that the parallel investigation, that broad investigation?
I can't answer
Do
that.
we know if anyone in the family was working, how his family got any income?
Again, we will get to some of those things when we have a little bit more of an ability to give you some more of the facts, but I can't get into that anymore.
Are there any federal agencies are involved in this investigation?
How many agencies?
Can you speak to if there's any federal agencies involved
She's asking if there are any federal agencies involved in the investigation.
in the investigation?
No, not to my knowledge.
Do you know of any children's services safety checks conducted at that home, be it Franklin County, be it Vinton County? Was there any mandatory reporting, especially by hospitals or medical officials?
She's asking, were there any other child safety checks in that home? Anything like that happened in that home prior to this?
Again, I can't address that, sorry.
The indecency charges, can you share any more about that investigation and the allegations he's facing when it comes to that?
She's asking, can you tell us more about the indecency charges and what those allegations are?
I can't. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
There's a lot there. there's a lot there. But again, the major thing is that the elder Mr. Gary Siders is out on his own recognizance with medical issues. He was admitted to the hospital after suffering a fall while in custody of the county. The county elected to put him out on his own recognizance so they wouldn't be footing the bill for his medical care. If and when he is released from the hospital, they said there will be a GPS monitor placed upon him. I don't know where he's going to go. I mean, hopefully, well, I don't know. Is there family? Are there friends that would take him in? I don't know. It appears that at least his attorney believes that there are some cognitive issues there as well. I have heard rumors about a stroke that he suffered in the past. So who knows what will happen to them. Meanwhile, his wife Christina, age 67, Gary Siders, age 36, I believe, and Elizabeth Siders, age 33, I believe, remain in custody awaiting a grand jury. And that's where we are. Now, I think I'm going to just real quick, because we'll be able to move on, and then I'm going to get to your comments here. Be sure to put GF in your comments, and I will get to them. But come with me, if you will, real quick, over to this article, which was published a little bit earlier today. Ohio House of Horrors child endangerment case began with unrelated warrant. This gives us a little bit more information. The investigation into the Ohio home where authorities say 16 children were living in a 12 by 12-foot room began with a warrant unrelated to child endangerment. Before the case became known as the Ohio House of Horrors, deputies were investigating Gary Siders Jr. This is Gary Siders Jr. This is Gary Siders II. I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. I just gotta let it go. Okay. On 4 misdemeanor indecent exposure charges, the warrant that brought Vinton County deputies to the home on June 30th stemmed from those allegations, not child endangerment. Authorities alleged Siders exposed himself outside the home to people who are not members of his household on May 23rd, 27, 29, and 31, according to News Nation local affiliate WOWK. What deputies found after serving the warrant would transform the case entirely. Now, this is the part that I really wanted to get to. Why did the Siders family waive their preliminary hearings? The 4 adults charged in the case have waived their preliminary hearings, sending the case directly to a grand jury under a newly appointed special prosecutor, LA Magazine contributor Lauren Conlon said on Jesse Weber Live. Quote, the 4 of them actually waived their preliminary hearing today, so this case is going to go directly to a grand jury, and they've actually appointed a special prosecutor as well. Mr. Archer, Bill Archer, the prosecutor that we just saw, said, well, they've appointed assistant prosecutors, right? Okay, so typically, at least in many jurisdictions throughout the nation, that would go directly to, that would just be waived for court. It'd go up to the court and we'd be moving on, right? There would be an official arraignment. There'd be a whole bunch of stuff happening. But apparently in Ohio, that means, okay, we waived the preliminary hearing. I guess that means we're going to the grand jury. We got to establish probable cause. That's fine. That also means, at least to me, I suspect that they have waived their right to a speedy trial, which almost every defendant does. We are guaranteed under the Constitution a right to a speedy trial. It was something that our founding parents hated about King George and the rule of English law at the time, that people would sit in prison for long periods of time. It was enumerated in the Declaration of Independence. It was codified in the Bill of Rights to have a right to a speedy trial. And here we are 250 years later, and almost every defendant waives that right. So buckle in, guys. This one's lasting a good long time. Elizabeth Siders, 33, her husband, Gary Siders II, 36, and his parents, Gary Siders Jr., 73, and Christina Siders, 67, were arrested on June 30 on child endangerment charges after authorities said 16 children were found living in a 12 by 12 room in Hamden. All 4 have pleaded not guilty. And Mr. Siders, the younger, had a hearing scheduled for tomorrow. That will not happen. Elizabeth Siders' attorney signals possible mental health defense. Waiving a preliminary hearing means the case moves forward without that early court proceeding where the defense can question witnesses and get an initial look at the state's evidence. Conlon said the decision aligns with comments from attorney Thomas Stolley, who has described his client as crying and exhausted and focused only on her children rather than her own release, which I just call shenanigans on. BS. If you were so concerned about your children, why are you keeping them in a fecal matter infested, rat and roach infested 12 by 12 room? Why you don't seem all that concerned, madam. But anyway, Jessie Weber suggested her lawyer is, quote, trying to lay the seeds for some sort of mental health defense. She also pointed to the couple's 2008 marriage certificate filed in West Virginia after a judge approved the union because both were minors. It lists Elizabeth Siders' education as stopping at the 8th grade and Gary Siders at the 9th. There are a lot of layers there, Conlon said. Indeed. Unverified social media posts from a man identifying himself as Elizabeth Siders' brother describe her as almost indoctrinated and suggest state welfare officials may have had prior knowledge. A claim Conlon said remains unconfirmed. Quote, we still don't know what the state knew, if anything, she said. The case now heads to a grand jury. No date has been set. I would imagine that we are entering, folks, the great hiatus section of this case where we will hear nothing of substance anyway, for a good long time, until the grand jury anyway, when we see an indictment, and that indictment will basically go, yep, here are the charges. Though I expect with the indictment, there probably will be way more charges. So let me real quick scroll on up to what you guys are saying on the live chat. Let's just check in. Sharky, good to hear from Sharky. Gavin, I don't understand the cost issue. I mean, if he's on Medicare, wouldn't they pick up the bill? However, if he has dementia and needs care, like needs to be in memory care, that is spendy. According to the prosecutor, the county would be on the bill for his medical care, whether he has insurance, he's on Medicare, or whatever. They would be on the hook. That's what he said, and he described it as possibly bankrupting the county, which I find rather comical. But okay. Angela's saying, hopefully, if or when he is released to a dementia unit where he is monitored 24/7. I don't disagree with you there, Angela. Cabling, these people look in their hundreds. Totally agree, Gavin. I mean, look at these folks. My grandmother, she always used that. Rode hard and put away wet. She used that phrase all the time. It's an old equestrian phrase, guys. Don't let your minds go to the gutter. Has to do with not properly caring for horses after you've ridden them hard. Leslie saying, hey, Gavin, quick question. Where did you learn about the elder Sider being junior and the younger Sider being the second? I was trying to confirm it for someone else and failed to do so. I will find that for you. Just one moment while I go to the complaint. I will open the criminal complaint. Talk amongst yourselves. Hey, Wanda, just so that we don't have some dead air there, can you just play some music for me while I do this? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Wanda. All right, so come with me over to Acrobat, if you will. I will start with the names on the files here are Christina Siders, Elizabeth Siders, Gary Siders II, date of birth 1989. And then this actually doesn't say junior on Gary Siders on this particular document, but I have, where did I read it? I have it. Hold on, it might be in another document. Give me a second. I think, oh, you know what? It was in the, it was stated in the original press conference, is where it was stated. So junior is Gary Siders II. Senior is Gary Siders Jr. That's how they talked about him in the press conference. Great question. Let me go back over to where I can see your questions. Black Widower, ad for Lullaby. Boo YouTube demonetizers. Well, we do have, let's see, give me a second. Here.
When you investigate crime, you learn something important. Every strand tells a story. Some stories fall apart under pressure, but great hair holds up under questioning. That's why I trust Lullaby. Because great hair never pleads the fifth. Lullaby, when the evidence is in your favor.
In case you're wondering, I still am using Lullaby, even though I have shorter hair. It makes it feel fuller, more dense. That's a good description of me. More dense. Cabling saying, according to the attorney, she's not a victim, which says she isn't. Well, I mean, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait to see what the attorney changes their story to. They've got to figure out how they're going to defend this, right? Hello from Transfer PA. Glad you are here. Mooney, thank you very much for the super chat. Deeply appreciate you and all the work you do as our moderator. Casey says, Gavin, your anger and rising tone is understandable. While we don't want you to yell, I 1000% appreciate that this topic is making passion come out. Children deserve that. Thank you. Try not to blow out your eardrums as I get more and more passionate about it. Jackal, there is no Gary GS2. The younger adult is Gary Jr. The child is the third. Incorrect, as I showed in the documents. The second implies the child is not named for the parent. Okay, his name is Gary the second. Robin says, Gavin, I have a social work degree, you goose. I forgot about that. So you should be, Robin, you should be a guest. Robin, let's hook up on Slack. You should be a guest. You are correct. You have a degree in social work. We should bring you on. Cabling, Gavin, it happens. This place is a secret. These people are scary, not to mention, no doubt, collecting benefits to keep their secret lives. Indeed. Robin says, but I'm not practicing anymore, and child protection wasn't my field of focus. Dang it, now you're weaseling out. I do have a friend who is a social worker in a different jurisdiction than where I live, in a different state from where I live. She might be game. Might be game. Especially if I ask her about, how do we keep our eyes peeled for this kind of stuff? I will reach out to her. She's amazing, by the way. Her husband has been on the show before. He is amazing as well. They might be the most educated couple I know, and they're certainly overachievers. He's a professor of genetics. He's amazing. See if there's anything else here. Montana's in the house. Thank you, Montana Sunshine, for being here. Thanks for that. A couple more. Oops. Koduf says, my hair is impeccable. And his hair was perfect. My wife did my hair again for me today. Miss Chivas Dragon, I don't think I can defend my question of the day answer without getting into TMI about legal papers. Fair enough. Maggie says he fell in the facility, so they're worried that they'll have to pick up the bill due to responsibility. By way of example, a wet floor, uneven surface. Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. All right, see if there's anything else here. Coffee Time for D says, I enjoyed the conversation you had over on Hillbilly Crime. I don't even know it existed. Didn't even know it existed, and I'm curious to see how she talks about true crime over there. Yeah, Elizabeth says best. I love her. She is the best. Guys, that's where we're going to leave it for this case. But despair not, my friends. We have more to go over today. We have done the press conference. We've done the grand jury question. We've read the article. We've done the question of the day. We need to get to our headlines in the Nancy Guthrie case, in the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing that's going on out in Utah, the multi-day hearing, the Alex Murdaugh saga as he faces his second prosecution for the murder of his wife and son, an update in the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. Of course, we've got some good news, but before we do any of that, my friends, how about we do some headlines? Here we go.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
All right, guys, in this segment, I answer your questions that you email me at 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3 questions, gavinfish.com, all spelled out. Now, some of you who are new, and I'm going to call you out with love and respect, because I love you and respect you. Both of those things are true. You try to sneak some questions in here. You try to ask questions while I'm doing 3 questions. That behavior just simply will not be tolerated, my friend. You need to send your questions into 3questions@gavinfish.com. You can send in 1 or 1,000. I put them into a little spreadsheet and I answer them 3 at a time in the order in which I see fit. I'm kind of running low on questions, by the way. So if you have some questions, send it into 3questions@gavinfish.com. First question, Gavin. Oh, and I love questions where you guys can answer them. I don't know. I love that. Gavin, how do you create and maintain healthy habits? Asked Diane G. Diane, I'm the worst person in the world to ask this. I am just not a healthy habit person, but I will tell you this. Knowing oneself is the key, I think. As you guys know, last August, I looked in the mirror. Actually, I did look in the mirror. That is not a lie, but I went out to fly a plane and was concerned that perhaps the plane didn't have enough payload for my fat self. So I went and I looked in the mirror and I said to myself, I got to say goodbye to Fat Gavin. Now, I'm still slightly chubby Gavin, right? I'm still on the way down. I got a ways to go. I've lost 90 pounds so far, and I've got probably another 20 to go. What was it that helped me get into the healthy eating, healthy movement, and exercising habit? Fear, my friends. Fear is what did it. See, I have a fear of public humiliation in the form of public failure. Failing to me privately is fine. Failing colossally in front of a large audience is a big fear of mine. And so I announced it to you guys that I was going to do this, and that fear has kept me on the straight and narrow. Now, I've noticed that once I created the habit, it just became a habit. And yeah, that's how I did it. Other healthy habits, I don't know. What are some of my other healthy habits? I've got plenty of unhealthy ones too, but I don't know. I can't think of any other healthy habits. Isn't that horrible? No, I'm a loving and doting and expressive husband and father. And that just comes by practice, right? I want my kids to know that I love them. So I tell them and I show it. I show it by my actions and I say it with my words. I have known many a person who were terrific people who did not express enough how much they loved the people they loved. And I never wanted to be guilty of that. When our first child was born, my wife's grandmother says, don't you think you tell your child that you love her too often? And I was just like, no, No, I do not. I think that if anything, I am not doing it often enough, and I'm doing it 50 times a day. One of the things I do with the kids is I just ask them, like, I'll be going down the stairs, one of the kids coming up the stairs, hey, who loves you? I quiz them, and they have to tell me the right answer. And when they say you, I say, you are correct. And then I usually follow it up with the question, how did you even know that? Because you tell me all the time. So yeah, for me, it's fear also. I mean, part of that is fear too. Like, I don't want to be a failure of a father and a failure of a husband. I want to be a good person. So I let my fear help me build those healthy habits. Question number 2 from Cindy. Is there one sweet treat that you could indulge in all day and every day and not gain weight? Okay, if there is one sweet treat you could indulge in all day and every day and not gain weight, what would it be? Pepsi Cola. Actually, it would be RC Cola. If I could just indulge in it all day long and my teeth would stay in my mouth and my body would stay healthy, I would be drinking RC Cola, my favorite. Royal Crown, baby. I would be drinking that all day long. In fact, that is one of the reasons why I became so big is I drank like 64 ounces of sweet fizzy every single day. Not good. Not good. Not good for the old dientes. Not good for the old cuerpo. So I've changed that, but that's what I would do. Also, I love dark chocolate. I gotta say, I love it. Also, I love gummy worms. Also, Sour Patch Kids. Ooh, Swedish fish. Love me Swedish fish. Cinnamon bears. I just really love sweets. And question number 3, have you ever experienced an earthquake? Sharon asks. Sharon, I grew up in California. Yeah, I experienced earthquakes with some frequency and never huge. I mean, it's not like we lived on a fault or anything like that, but yeah, we would feel the big ones and we would feel the small ones. And sometimes we'd be awakened in the night. Sometimes we'd go to school and go, did you guys feel that last night? And I'd be like, I slept through it. So yeah, like probably hundreds of times I have experienced earthquakes. Oh, I was once in the Bay Area. This was actually on the wedding day of my brother-in-law and his wife, and I was kind of like the maitre d', and I had to be in San Francisco on business. And on the way from South San Francisco, you have to go up, what is that, 101, right? Cross the Bay Bridge so you can get onto 80 so you can get up to Sacramento. I'm on the 101 approaching the bridge when there was a big enough earthquake to shut down the Bay Bridge. I sat like on the first 100 feet of the Bay Bridge for hours, 4.5, 5 hours, something like that. So yeah, I have experienced an earthquake. Now, bonus points if you guys have answers to these questions, right? How do you create and maintain healthy habits? What is something you would indulge in all day, every day and not gain weight? What would you choose? And have you ever experienced an earthquake, a tornado, a hurricane? Something like that? I'd love to hear your comments. And while you guys are working on those comments, let's dive into some headlines. Here we go.
True crime headlines.
Okay, let's jump into this first one because it's a big one because it is national news, right? The preliminary hearing of Tyler Robinson, the man accused of assassinating political activist Charlie Kirk, is going on in Utah County, Utah. This report from the Associated Press via pbs.org, written by Hannah Schoenbaum. Dateline Provo. Lawyers for the suspect accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk are expected to keep questioning the reliability of DNA testing that prosecutors said links the defendant to the suspected murder weapon when a week-long hearing continues today. A member of Tyler Robinson's defense team interrogated a DNA analyst from the FBI on Tuesday about the technique she used to connect Robinson to a rifle found wrapped inside a towel at Utah Valley University, where Kirk was shot in September while speaking to a crowd. Defense lawyer Michael Burt cast doubt on the analyst's conclusions, a theme that's likely to come up again during the 5-day preliminary hearing. By the way, this is a long hearing, guys, because there's lots of evidence, right? Well, not only is there lots of evidence, but the defense has some valid, well, I don't know if I'd call them valid. The judge can decide that, but the defense has some defending, so they need time, right? So a 5-day prelim is a pretty long one. Quote, she can't match Mr. Robinson to the question samples, Burt concluded. Deputy Utah County Attorney Ryan McBride countered that the reliability of the DNA testing could be examined if the case goes to trial. He suggested the preliminary hearing was not the time to take up the matter. Quote, the point is there are explanations that are susceptible to different interpretations and arguments, McBride said. The court is going to determine if this meets the threshold of reliability at trial. Indeed, all we're looking here is for probable cause. It's a low bar, very low bar, not certainty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is just a probable cause hearing. Prosecutors intend to seek the old DP in the case. They are trying to convince Judge Tony Graff that they have enough evidence to bring Robinson to trial on an aggravated murder charge. Robinson has yet to enter a plea, and his attorneys have not commented on his guilt or innocence. They have, however, sought to get the DP taken off the table, so far unsuccessfully. Yeah, good luck. There's so much political pressure. There is no way in red Utah. Like, Utah is so red, but Utah County, even redder. And Charlie Kirk was a conservative activist. No, they're going for blood here, guys. They're definitely going for blood. FBI analyst Amanda Baker said after Robinson's roommate provided a DNA sample for comparison, she was able to rerun her tests and attribute all of the DNA to 2 people. Investigators found the towel and suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action rifle with 1 spent round, in a wooded area near where Kirk was shot. DNA on the towel matched to 2 people. Jennifer Faumuina with the State Bureau of Investigation testified. One was Robinson's roommate, Lance Twiggs, and the other was very likely Robinson, she said. Twiggs, a key figure in the prosecution's case, will not testify in person this week, but prosecutors have said they plan to introduce a recorded statement. Prosecutors allege Robinson confessed in a note left for Twiggs, who was also his romantic partner, that read, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. So yeah, this is going to keep on going, but keep in mind, guys, this is just a hearing to establish probable cause. This is the very beginning. Moving on in our headlines, LA medical examiner investigation after leaks in the DeForvita case. Dun, dun, dun. Remember, a judge sealed anything coming out of the coroner's office. The medical examiner was not allowed to say anything about this case because the police, the LAPD, requested and a judge granted that motion. And it turns out that there were some leaks. This from NBC LA, Eric Leonard, Dennis Broad. More than a dozen employees at the LA County Department of Medical Examiner, including investigators and office staff, have been ordered to answer questions about whether they viewed law enforcement investigation files without specific authorization after some media reports included graphic details on the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teenager allegedly killed by the pop singer known as, thank you Pascal, DeForvita, before the autopsy file was officially made public. The Rivas case itself may have led to the inquiry by the LA County Department of Human Resources, which began notifying the employees in recent days and weeks that they were required to appear for recorded interviews, several sources familiar with the probe told NBC4 Investigates. The Department of Medical Examiner, commonly known as the coroner, though it's a medical examiner, not a coroner, said Monday it does not comment on pending investigations. Blah, blah, blah. The medical examiner initially denied the LAPD's request to to seal, citing insufficient jurisdiction to withhold the case. And then the LAPD obtained an order to lock it down. So anyway, there is an investigation into who leaked stuff out of the medical examiner's office, and we will see what happens there. Turning to Nancy Guthrie, Fox News, written by Greg Wayner, says, a federal judge has ordered the California man who pleaded guilty to sending phony ransom messages to the family of missing Arizona woman Nancy Guthrie to enter inpatient substance abuse treatment while awaiting sentencing, according to federal court records. Derek Anthony Calleja, 42, was arrested days after Guthrie's disappearance after the FBI determined he had sent fraudulent ransom messages to members of the family. He later pleaded guilty to 2 counts of harassment using a telecommunications device and is scheduled to be sentenced on September 10th. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, he's got to seek drug treatment. And then lastly, in our headlines today, I didn't open up my good news. Got to open up good news. South Carolina prosecutors want Alex Murdaugh's sealed trial records made public. Here's what's inside. This from WIS TV. Dateline Columbia, South Carolina. State prosecutors are now asking to have previously sealed records from Alex Murdaugh's first murder trial to be made public. Weird that they would ask that. The Attorney General's office filed a motion on Monday to unseal the in-camera portion of the original trial transcript and other investigative material from the 2023 trial. In-camera is private. It is usually in a judge's chambers, or it could be in a courtroom without anybody else present, right? In its request, prosecutors note that it's asking for the records to be unsealed with appropriate privacy redactions and related investigative materials that led one juror, Myra Crosby, being dismissed. Crosby went on to become known as the egg juror or the egg lady after it was found she left her belongings in a jury room, which included a dozen eggs brought to her by another juror. The state also responded to Murdaugh's motion to modify a protective order while asking the court to unseal documents and video interviews from the investigation into former Colleton County clerk of court Becky Hill, who was accused of jury tampering. So got a lot going on there. Now, we have one more headline, which is our good news, but for some reason I didn't open it up. Where is it? I have it. There it is. All right. Guys, World Cup is upon us. World Cup is upon us. Now, the U.S. men's team didn't make it into the latest round, the round of 8, which I don't think any of us expected it. My beloved Argentina did, and I hope that you guys are rooting for Argentina as much as I am. But whoever you're rooting for whomever you are rooting, I don't know how to say that. Doesn't matter. I hope you're enjoying the World Cup as much as I am. And here are 2 people who are enjoying the World Cup. This from the Good News Network, written by Andy Corbley. England fan who spent life savings on World Cup trip with granddad gets money gifted back. Oh my goodness, I love people. You know, we spend so much time looking at the worst of the worst, right? The Alex Murdaughs of the world, the DeForvitas of the world, the Siders families of the world. But all we have to do is look over here to find great people. An England fan who used his life savings to take his granddad to the World Cup has been left stunned after a company inspired by their story gifted him the entire $13,000 back. Jacob Allmendinger sacrificed the cash he had saved up for a house deposit to take Jeff Goliker, 80, on the trip of a lifetime in the USA and Mexico. 21-year-old Jacob has been going to matches in his hometown of Hull by his grandfather since he was a little boy, and said he now wants to return the favor. Quote, "We've had an amazing trip so far," he told Ed Chatterton, writing for England's Southwest News Service. "We're still in Mexico at the minute and fly tomorrow to Miami for the quarterfinal. The Mexico game was a once in a generation game to watch." Jacob and Jeff have traveled to New York and Atlanta for the matches with Panama and the DR Congo before witnessing the historic 3-2 win at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. They're now on their way to the quarterfinal against Norway England v. Norway. I don't think England has a shot on this one. But Ham wrong about a lot of stuff. And during their time abroad, the pair say they had been stopped in the street by people recognizing them after their heartwarming story went viral through Allmendinger's social media channels. Among the viral readers was a US-based online crypto casino called MetaWin, which contacted the devoted grandson and vowed to pay back the money if England beat Panama by more than 2 goals. Oh, come on! No, just pay back the money. It's hilarious. An unsolicited social media promise made by the cryptocurrency casino is not one that any sensible person is likely to take to heart, and Allmendinger was skeptical from the off. Quote, "When we only won 2-0 and they said they would still pay £10,000 if we won against DR Congo by any score," he said, "I didn't quite believe it. To be honest, until I looked at my bank and it was there, I was just in shock." England have the quarterfinals against Norway next. The descendants of the Vikings have thoroughly embraced that aspect of their culture as they've torn through the competition, including knocking out 5-time winners Brazil, led by the ferocious finishing of Erling Haaland at center forward. But Allmendinger told the BBC that he's hopeful, and for good reason. Quote, "The parallels to now in 1966 when we last beat Mexico in the World Cup and then went on to win the whole thing. It kind of gets you giddy for the rest of the trip." Yeah. Anywho, great. I mean, I don't like that it was a casino that had conditions, but they were true to their word. And he got some money back, and that makes it even a more memorable trip. And that makes me even happier that I shared these headlines with you.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie, let's finish out with with your comments over here. Nikki saying, "In my opinion, so many more living, if not the same, similar situations." Yeah, I agree. There's so many. Gavin, mental illness. LV Jode says, "Any news on the Ashley Buzzard trial? I check in on it daily. No new news." Let's see if there's anything else. Just Ducky says, "My healthy habit, look at a box of donuts and ask myself, what would Gavin do?" You're a great motivator. Thumbs up. Well, great. Black Widower loves cola, even the cheap ones. Can I tell you a story real quick? This is a little bit. Wanda, we're going to need some flashback music a little bit, if I can. Flashing back to when Gavin was a young man. I met one of my closest friends ever at the end of my junior year of high school. I was quickly invited over to his house, where the first time I was at his house, his mom asked me what my favorite soda was. And I said RC Cola. And from that day on until the last time I saw her in this life, which was 2021, every time I went over there, there was RC Cola waiting for me in that house. From the time I was 17 to the time I was 46, she always had it for me because she was awesome, and I miss him. He passed away, and then shortly after he passed, she passed away. I miss them both, and I'm so glad that I have the memory of just how wonderful and good friends they are. Sharky Sharona says, "Being a California girl, I too have experienced many earthquakes, the biggest being the 1989. The epicenter was only 15 miles from my house." Yeah, I was about 60 miles from the epicenter. I definitely felt that one for sure. Clarinet Girl says, "Healthy for me is my clean country living. I've never consumed alcohol or smoked. I would, however, indulge in cheesecake every day." Yeah, I've never consumed alcohol. I did put a cigarette in my mouth when I was a kid, but cheesecake, oh, I'm with you there. That's amazing. Mooney says, "In Virginia, we have had many tornadoes, and in our area, and only 2 earthquakes I can remember. So many houses lost around me. We only lost trees that fell away from the house. Earthquakes happen in Virginia too? Crazy. Crazy. And then Mooney reminds me, please share again how to access the member stream. Members, if you go to my channel and go to posts, there is a post that is there for members only that has a link to the members only live stream. Join me there. Be there or be square. Remember, we're going to be going through, it's just going to be a good hang. This dusty old photo album. Do I dare tease you with something? Let's see. What shall I tease you with? Oh, yeah, let's see. Oh my goodness. 1989, Gavin. Are you guys ready? You guys ready for this? Okay, that's it. That's it. That was 1989, Gavin. We're gonna be sharing some stuff from the old photo album. We're just gonna be having a good hang. So, if you're on Patreon, there is a link on Patreon, and if you're a YouTube member, there is a link in my posts tab. I think they call it post tab now. They used to call it community tab. Let me just check. If I go to my channel and I go to posts, yes, it looks like, yes, it has the link hidden. So I'm going to show you. Okay, it looks like this. That is the post. Okay, you're looking for that picture. And that is the post that will give you the link to go to the members only and patrons only live stream. If you're on Patreon, just go to Patreon on my page. There's a link to it in the description on my page. There is a post there that gives you all the information. And thank you, Mooney, for keeping me honest there. See if there's anything else. Oh man, a couple things came in at the end. Clarinet Girl, a favorite feel-good moment of FIFA is the Norway team and fans celebrating with a Viking row after each win. It is pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Gavin, they took 2 kids out of another house in Philly with the same conditions. It happens everywhere. Dana saying, what about cheese balls under the desk? Oh, I do love cheese balls. I have not had any under the desk since August. Nothing under there. I haven't had any cheese balls since. Oh, I want cheese balls now, but it's okay. Dana, that's funny. Leslie saying, did you see when Vozinha, keeper for Cabo Verde, had such an amazing game and mentioned on air he couldn't afford to fly his mom out, so Hakeem Jeffries spoke to Rubio and they flew her out. How cool is that? That's terrific. That is terrific. Ooh, B Michigan saying RC Cola is my fave too. Robin sipping on an RC Cola and eating moon pie. Ooh, that sounds delicious. That sounds delicious. Guys, thanks so much for spending some time with me tonight. We will be starting our members only live stream in just about a little more than 15 minutes. Again, if you're on Patreon, go to my page on Patreon. The link is there if you're one of my patrons. If you are one of my members, go to my posts tab on my channel. There is a link there that only you can see. If you guys would like to join us, it's not too late. Not too late to become a new member. Now, I'm withholding the remaining 5 that I can share this month for next week. So next week we will try to get more of you in there. But for now, it's just going to be a good hang. Hey, remember that we are on Facebook. If you go to my website, gavinfish.com, and you look on the menu, you will see a little fishy. And you know what? If you are like, if I go to, let's see, responsive design mode, if you're on a device, you'll see this little burger. You can open that up and hey, look, there's the little fishy right there. And if you click it, it will go over here to the fish tank where we hang out on Facebook. You're always, always, always invited. One more look-see. Oh, okay, that's it. And also a very special thanks to everybody who listens and watches on Spotify. I upload these live streams to Spotify every evening, and I've begun posting on my Facebook page the links to Spotify so that you guys can easily find it. With that, I bid you adieu. You members, I will see you in 17 minutes. Everybody else, I bid you adieu, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.